It's been a great day. I want to thank the former Vice President, Dr. Alex Ekweme, and his wife. I want to thank the former Senate President, Ken Namani. I really appreciate the presence of my very first boss, Gali Naba. Now, there are so many people I need to recognize. The Chief of Staff to the Governor of Anambra State, who Ojozi Ndibo, Chekwa Sokorie, Chifonye Mugochukwu, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, Dr. Obi Orokonkwo, a good friend of mine who was really helpful while putting this together. Dr. Emmanuel Eboga, I'm glad you flew in from Lagos as you promised. Chief Victor Me, Ochendo, Amici, Okeke Obodoyibo, Chief Simon Okeke. He's a very good friend of my father, former Deputy Speaker Emeka Ehedioha. Now, you know, I've not mentioned my wife because if you read the book, I already thanked her in the book, so I think she just... And Professor Soludo wants me to mention my elder sister, Christine, who was his classmate, and who he's seen for the first time in over 30 years. Honorable Chuchu Onyema, Honorable Lubina Chidoka, former Enugu State Commissioner, now Honorable Member, etc., etc. Now, as I go along, I'll mention other friends. You know, the hall is full of my friends, and great friends that came from Lagos, Oka Ambassadors Club, and the chairman, Colin Silanya, Emeka Nwobo, Clem Nwobo, and a whole lot of you guys. The Crown Prince of Udi Kingdom. Okay, I actually have a prepared speech, but it's unlikely that it's a short one, but I will have to discard it. Because Professor Soludo really talked about some of the things I wanted to talk about. But one crucial thing, there's a document I have here. I'm sure Gali Naba will be surprised, and other members of the House of Representatives will be surprised to see this document. It's actually a letter to Naba in 2000, 4th of April, 2000. Naba was the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I was a member. I had no position in the House. I was an ordinary member. I was not a chairman of committee, nor was I a deputy chairman. Nothing. But there was something very important that I thought we had to fight for at that time. And it really was about the independence of the legislature. And we had a case, a petition brought by a constituent of mine, Emeka Nwoka, against Shell. So I tried to talk to the Senate President then, late Dr. Chudi Offodile, and he referred me to the Senate Committee Chairman of Petroleum, who wasn't keen on dealing with that issue. So I decided to present the petition before the House. And when Shell was invited, they refused to attend. They said they would not submit themselves to the jurisdiction of the legislature. So I suggested to Naba, ordinary member, I walked up to him and said, we have to do something about it. They have to appear. Not long after, Chief Rotimi Williams wrote a letter to Naba telling him that Shell will not appear. So I went back to Naba Naba asked me to go and brief the late Chief Gani Fawemi. I went, briefed Fawemi, and we met at the Federal High Court in Lagos. I was the only member of the House of Representatives who was in court. And the judge asked the two great lawyers to go settle the matter. So a few days later, the MD of Shell wrote to NABA now saying that Shell was prepared to appear before the House of Representatives. Now, this was the genesis of the assertive nature of the legislature, the first, I call it the class of 99. Now, I'm telling this story because lately, all we hear is budget padding, all kinds of negative stories. Those who fought for the independence of the legislature did it because we thought it was right. It wasn't for budget padding or anything of the sort. And I'm talking about it because I've just given you a preview into my second book. So, I will thank everyone and urge us to try to do something. Obia Ezekwesili is here. She wages a one-woman war. Yeah. On this issue of Chibok girls. I was in church in Anambra State one day, St. Patrick's Catholic Cathedral in Awka, when one of the priests was talking about Nigeria and then made derogatory remarks about Obegeli Ezekwesili. What is she doing about Chibok girls? What does she know about it? It's not our problem. Well, the truth is, it's our problem. And Nigeria has, when Nigeria did not address the problem of Biafran refugees after the war, there was no empathy shown by Nigeria and Nigerians. I mean, not everybody. There were people and institutions that tried to help out. Now, that lack of empathy is what has led to what is going on in the Northeast today, where you have about 3.5 million refugees, and nobody seems to care, except those from that area. So this idea of when a problem occurs in a part of Nigeria, and everybody imagines that it is those people's problem, is the wrong way to go if we must build a strong and prosperous nation. And so for that, I must recognize Obegeli Ezekwesili. For being such a good example. And why I say this is that Naba is from Kanu, and he's here today because we're discussing Biafran issues. And there are others, my friend Dr. Wale Okediro, and a whole lot of other people who are really non-Igbo. They're here trying to understand what the issues are and try to help Nigeria achieve some kind of a modus vivendi that will help us, just put simply, just to move forward. That should be what we should focus on. For those of us who are interested in a new Nigeria, our focus should be to be our brother's keeper. Now, it didn't happen to us. Some people are bitter about what happened in Biafra. No need to be bitter. We've done well. Believe me. Read my book and you see that we've done well, and I try to raise those issues as successes across the board, in business, in literature, arts, medicine. But the problem remains that of leadership. And then if marginalization did not stop the growth and advancement of Igbo businesses, the celebration of artists, Nollywood, one of the best writers in the world, Chimamanda Adichie, and so on and so forth, I would argue that marginalization cannot be an excuse for the kind of leadership we have in Igbo land. If it didn't stop our businessmen, it didn't stop our artists, then we must go further. If you consider what our parents went through in Biafra, what confronts us today is nothing but a cakewalk. It just requires courage. And that's why I did not shy away from touching on every subject that is important for our people. We have to be proud of who we are. We are Igbo. We must be proud of our Biafran heritage. No shying away from it. That's who we are. That's our history. But at the same time, we must move very surely, no timidity, to secure our rights in Nigeria. I thank you so much, but before I say goodbye, there's some Dutch Nigerian sitting there. Chief Jup Beckhout. That's the publisher, the chairman of Safari Books. When I was done with my manuscript, I sent it to 3 publishing houses. And once he got my manuscript, he started calling me. So I didn't choose Safari Books to publish this book. Safari Books chose me. Okay? I thank you, Chief Beckhout, for all you did, and Ernest, your son, who gave me other perspectives, and then one more final story. Professor Soludo. You know, I hope I'm not, just 2 more minutes, I'll be done. In 1994, I wrote my first article, really, because some people, I need to talk about this because people who don't know me really wonder whether I actually wrote the book. Yes. Yes, I had friends call me, you just didn't do this. How did you do it? We see you everywhere. The truth is, I met Dr. Kadibo, late Dr. Chubo Kadibo, sometime in 1994 in Enugu. And I had a conversation with him, and he said to me, listen, I like you. You're analytical. Why don't you just write? So I wrote an article. Can't remember the title of that, but I wrote an article and sent it to the Guardian newspaper. It apparently arrived the premises of the Guardian the day Guardian was shut down by the military regime at that time. So it didn't get published. So, but 1996, I did my first article, which till today, I really don't know how I did it and whether I can write that kind of article again. It was titled Ideological Fluidity in Nigerian Politics. So from then, I've been writing regularly in Nigeria's mainstream media. But you know, politics is such that because everybody that's a politician is not supposed to be, you know, you're just supposed to be a tout or something. So it's been terrible. But when I finished this manuscript, I sent it to 3 friends. 2 days after, Professor Soludo was one of them, I sent it to Prof. He got back to me 2 days after and said to me, this book must be properly published. Don't go and bind it and print it and start distributing. It has to be properly published. And he gave me the kind of confidence that Chubo Kadibo gave me that encouraged me to write in 1996. I need to say this, because when somebody like Prof goes through your manuscript and gives an endorsement, it encourages you to do more. And of course, when Professor A.B.C. Nwosu went through it, he called me and said, Chudi, if anybody described this book as good or very good, then the person is wrong. The book is excellent. You know, I honored my parents in the book. I honored my family, my wife and my children and my friends, and even some of my enemies who I had to acknowledge their attributes in the book. But you've given me the greatest honor just by turning up for this event. May God bless you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.